Well, hello everyone. I hope all of you are doing well, and I also hope that you have tried watching my previous videos on the books that I've reviewed, such as War and Peace and Guns, Jumps and Steel. And I think it has been long since I have released a book, like more than 2 weeks. I have come back on the channel and given you a new update on new review of a book, right? So today I have a new book to give a I don't know if I can give a review about it because whatever is in this book, I feel like talking about it. It's a biography this time, and the personality that this book is based upon is a person who was quite famous in 2023 across cinemas, across books, across newspapers, and even I guess on your social media. So, without any further waste of your time, I will just give you the book that I'm going to review today, and it is going to be in two parts. So the book is titled American Prometheus: The Triumph and Tragedy of J. Robert Oppenheimer, or Julius Robert Oppenheimer. I'm sure you have watched the movie, which was a very very big blockbuster last year, late 2023, and I'm sure you all have loved the acting from the great actors such as Cillian Murphy or Robert Downey Jr. or Emily Blunt. So this, I just wanted to give a very proper read of how what was the life history, that why this personality Oppenheimer was quite famous, and why it intrigued a great director like Christopher Nolan to like make a movie about, right? So as you all know, the movie was critically acclaimed. Recently it's also received like seven Oscars in one go. So I'm sure Christopher Nolan has done a quite great job to present the life history of Robert Oppenheimer, right? And whatever that I've read in this book, I can assure you that he has done a pretty amazing job. Like I could relate each and everything from the book, which was like very amazingly represented in the movie in Nolan's way. And it has also got seven Oscars, as I've already told you. Like best actor is there, best movie is there, best supporting actor is there, best director is there, original score is there, cinematography is there, and I think one more, best film editing is there. So to give a justification to the life history of Oppenheimer, I don't think I can summarize all of this book in one video, so I will keep it in two parts. So to and the sections that I've decided to give you a review about his life history is going to be his personal life. Then the second section is going to be about his time during the Manhattan Project, where he actually designed the nuclear bomb. The third part is going to talk about his problems, or not, if not the problems, but his struggles towards not identifying as a communist, and being tabbed by FBI for so many years. And then the last part is also, it is going to be about his uh, tremendous amount of lobbying against the nuclear arm race, which was imminent post World War II, right? So to start, I'll cover two sections of this particular his particular life history in this video. So the authors of this book are Kai Bird and Martin J. Sherwin. Both of them are American historians, and Martin J. Sherwin is unfortunately no more. And they released this book in 2005, which is like a compilation of the reports or the archival documents or transcripts, which basically summarizes Oppenheimer's life. And as the title suggests, American Prometheus, it has been inspired from this Greek mythology, where Prometheus took the fire from the Greek gods and gave it to the humans. So that basically shows that analogy to Oppenheimer's life, who was also known as the, or still is known as the father of the atomic bomb. So who, the person who actually gave nuclear bomb to humans. And as the title continues, the triumph and tragedy of Oppenheimer. So triumph is basically suggests to his like success in discovering the atomic bomb, and the tragedy is basically suggests to that was his biggest mistake that he could realize personally, because he had realized that humanity is not going to use atomic bomb for the good cause until and unless there is some check against it, right? So, and that actually made him quite depressed. There is one incident also covered in the movie where he goes to the then president of America, Harry Truman, and tells him that there is blood is on my hands. So that he was having those sort of emotional turmoil, because America, despite the fact that Japan was ready for an unconditional uh, surrender, they dropped those two bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and he felt that he was the man who was liable for the killing of so many civilians in Japan. So, to not go further into so much of details, you can read that into the book. But I'll start off with the personal life. So he was a son of German immigrants, Julius Oppenheimer and Ella Friedman, and he was born in 1904. Uh, so he was very close to both of his parents, and he had one younger brother, like who was 8 years younger than him, and both of the brothers were close to each other, and they both became eminent physicists in the 20th century. So both the parents gave both the brothers a very ideal childhood, and they both the brothers were sent to the Ethical Cultural Society school, which basically used to teach the secular ideas on the lines of the Judaism, that is the Jew culture. And both the sons were very close to each other since their childhood days, and they used to spend their summers in the far west Californian side of US, where if you remember in the movie, those open scapes of California, where they used to spend their summers when they were young at this ranch of someone named called Catherine Page. And I mean, that was their every year summers escape towards from their a normal mundane life. So from his early age, he was very interested in mineral collection and reading poetries or reading classics, writing. And throughout his life history, you will understand in the book that he continued this habit of reading. He used to read anything that used to come in his way, and like from the range of he has read from the range of Freudism or like Marxism, or he has even read Bhagavad Gita. He was a great fan of Bhagavad Gita, as we have seen in the movie as well. Although full of intellect, he was a very paradoxical sort of a person. Nobody could understand and say what is going on in Oppenheimer's mind, or to in short say Oppie's mind. His friends could not understand him at times, but sometimes they used to feel that he is lonely, and sometimes they used to feel that he has that too much of intellect that nobody could argue or nobody could debate with him. Yet, if when you will read the book, or if you wish to read the book, you will understand that in any debate that he used to jump in, he used to give a very perfect conclusion. He was a very good listener also. He used to give a very perfect conclusion to each and every scenario, and people had hard time to give a counter argument to what Oppie had to say, right? So in 1922, after finishing his ethical cultural school, he went to Harvard. So he did his bachelor's there in chemistry. He was never interested in chemistry, and it was a very hard time for him to go through that particular phase of his life. And then he during his bachelor's he attended two lectures from Niels Bohr, and Niels Bohr was the person who basically gave the structure of the atom, right? So that basically sparked his interest towards jumping from chemistry to physics. And having that sort of interest, he ended up having his further studies into Cambridge in the Cavendish laboratory, where again he was feeling a lot of depressed, and he was lonely. He had no friends per se. One of his friends from his younger days, Francis Ferguson, who also came to Oxford, he also used to wonder that there is something wrong with Oppenheimer. And that incident that is covered in the movie, where he actually poisoned his supervisor's apple, that actually happened. He did poison it. He was suffering from a lot of emotional and social complexities, and he actually injected cyanide into his supervisor's apple. Luckily, that his supervisor, Patrick Blackett, who was also a Nobel laureate, never ate that apple, and he later on confessed that he did put cyanide in his supervisor's apple also. So he was not figuring out what is going on with his life. Is he taking interest or not? Then he so even after taking physics in Cambridge in 1926, so he finished his so he started his bachelor's in 1922, And in 1926, he went on to have his further studies in Cambridge in experimental physics from chemistry. And he could not take much interest in that also. Then he jumped towards theoretical physics. That led his interest to expand, and that was his major breakthrough in his scientific career. So he was working under Max Born, the person who in 1924 gave the term quantum mechanics, and he took a lot of Oppenheimer took a lot of interest in quantum mechanics in when he ended up working with Max Born in the University of Göttingen in Germany. So there, if you can go online and uh, check about Born Oppenheimer approximation and read about it, you will find that Oppenheimer was the person who actually theorized the quantum theory of molecules, right? And that was also the time when like so much of discovery was were happening in the field of quantum mechanics. Like James Chadwick was there who discovered a neutron. Schrodinger was there who discovered wave mechanics. Heisenberg was there who gave the Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. I am sure you, if you were the science student in your school time, you must have read all about these people. Rutherford was there. So among all these people, uh, Oppenheimer had his first breakthrough by giving that Born Oppenheimer approximation. And even though he was getting that recognition back in the European scientific community, he was missing his home country. He was missing his summer times in the California West, where he used to go with his brother every summer, do horse riding, and stay at Catherine Pate's ranch in the Sangre de Cristo Mountains. So he was basically missing his early days, and so he wanted to go back to his country and not continue his scientific career in the European part of the world. So luckily, he received so many offers from different recognized universities in Europe, including University of California and California Institute of Technology, Caltech. And so he took during 1927 he took a regular post at University of California, Berkeley, and he also took a teaching post at Caltech Institute of Technology, where he was in good touch with the great scientist Richard Tolman and his wife Ruth Tolman. So during that period of his life, he did back and forth at Berkeley and Caltech. So, and that was the period from 1927 to to the next 10 years or so. He was exposed to what was happening back in America, right? So there was a lot of uproar of communism going on. Why? Because that was the time when in during the mid 30s or so, 1935 or so, like Nazism was on the uprise in Germany, and there was communism in Russia. And communism, although Russia was on the allied part of the world, communism was treated as a bad effect towards the American political and cultural society. So so many people you will if you read in this book, many of his graduate students such as Weinberg and David Bohm or Lomenids, all of those his students were also active communists. His girlfriend Jean Tatlock, uh, whose character is also in the movie, was a communist, and his wife Kitty, who he married in around 1939. 1939 he married Kitty. So his wife's ex-husband was also a communist. So there was a lot of communist uproar in America, and which used to be into the secret societies. And even his brother Frank Oppenheimer was also a communist for a short period of time. So that uproar of communism was treated against the American political and cultural system, and it was treated as disloyalty to the country, and it was a crime to be a communist. So it was always in the secret societies, like in those sort of manners. So Oppenheimer, he never considered himself as a true communist. He was a leftist for sure. And he was active in so many farmer or teachers union or in like American civil liberty societies, but he never considered himself as a true communist, someone who will go to the length and say that yes, I identify myself as a communist. He only called himself as a fellow traveler who only called himself as someone who is on the right side of what is wrong and what is right, but he never considered himself as a communist. And this particular uh, confusion, or if I can say the paradox of him being the communist, will uh, haunt him throughout his life, and that actually basically created that tragedy, as mentioned in the title of the book, the tragedy of Oppenheimer's life. So to move on to the second part of his life, which was the Manhattan Project, right? So when he was active, a lot of active in the civil liberty societies, there was this scientist called Ernest Lawrence. He was he was the first scientist ever who started off doing so much of machine experimentations and particle accelerators experimentations, and he was the person who used to head the radiation laboratory. So he was angry on Oppenheimer's like activities in those civil liberty societies, and he wanted to call him back, like, what are you even doing? You should be doing science. What are you trying to achieve through this through your activities? So he invited Oppenheimer back to these meetings with the government. He lobbied him personally that government is trying to build this bomb, a nuclear bomb, because there was this rumor which was already among the American administration that Germany is already on the verge of making a nuclear bomb, and before Germany creates that bomb, we have to create a bomb more disastrous and more advanced than them. So through a lot of government lobbying and Oppenheimer's like perseverance, government was really happy to give him that post of scientific director to basically design a nuclear bomb. So his task in designing the nuclear bomb was basically to figure out the amount of required radioactive uranium that will create a nuclear fusion reaction, and that will sort of create a chain reaction to give a very like a giganticus blast to a bomb. So since he was a theoretical physicist, there was nobody else in the US who was better than him in deciding those calculations. And based on his suggestion, government decided to build up a like a total totally new laboratory in Los Alamos, which is again the region where he used to go for his summertime horse riding in the California West. And the reason to select that region was because of it being very remote in the America. Like it had to be very in a secret manner, right? Nobody who was not part of the project was supposed to know anything about the project. It was supposed to be highly classified and confidential project, right? And it was named Manhattan Project. So Oppenheimer was appointed as the scientific director of the Manhattan Project, and he invited so many other scientists to accompany him design that nuclear bomb, and including Ernest Lawrence, Edward Teller, who later on also became another problem to Oppenheimer, because Teller wanted to create hydrogen bomb, which was even massively more destructive than atomic bomb ever could be. And then he also invited Robert Serber. He invited several other scientists also. So when he was in when he was the scientific director of Manhattan Project, there also his from his like his uh, character of being a scientific enigma, you will see that he turned towards being an administrative leader also. So, and his sole reason of accepting that position of the scientific director was because little of it was affected by, because he was a bit leftist, but it was also a motivation for him to be that to design that nuclear bomb, because he was against Nazis, right? He was himself a German immigrant to US. His parents were those immigrants, and they were Jews, and Jews were being persecuted in the Hitler's Nazist Germany, right? So he was that was quite personal for him to accept that position, where along with doing that calculation for the nuclear bomb, he was also a big administrative support to like scientists, to regular people, to even peons, to even military, which was stationed there to keep the like a confidential check on the entire project, right? So there he met the person, the military chief Leslie Groves, Colonel Leslie Groves. His character is played in the movie by Matt Damon. He is also beautifully portrayed in the movie. So Leslie Groves was the military general who used to oversee the entire security of the Los Alamos or the Manhattan Project. So Oppenheimer had a very good professional relationship with Leslie Groves, and he actually put a stop on Groves' compartmentalization policy, where actually no scientist was supposed to talk with each other with what they are trying to do, and that was a problem for the scientists, because unless you can't coordinate, you can't collaborate, you won't know what is happening, you won't know if they are leading towards a better cause or not, or if you are leading towards the required results or not. So he actually put a stop to Grove's compartmentalization policy also in the Manhattan Project, and he also led people to demilitarize the lab. So it was like a norm to wear the military clothes and all, to basically show your patriotism towards the country. And Oppenheimer also worked a lot against and he basically led the entire scientific community in the Manhattan Project to start being vocal against not to wear those military protocols, right? So other than that, he also used to organize like regular seminars every week where people used to gather. He used to talk endlessly. He used to talk without any script. He used to give speeches for like an hour, 2 hours without any speech, and it is quite described beautifully that nobody used to budge, like lose their attention from what OP is talking about, right? And those seminars were not only focused on like nuclear designs experiments, but it was also focused on like say philosophies. And people used to admire him. People used to believe that when he entered into the Manhattan Project, he developed his administrative leadership, and he was that person who could lobby all the way to Washington during that period of time. So being a scientific enigma to become an administrative leader, that was the sort of the career breakthrough also for Oppenheimer, and that was the part where his triumph was going on and on and on, and he actually became that celebratory scientist, right? Because he actually ended up giving nuclear bomb. So if you see the movie, it is covered in the movie that government wanted to do tests on the bomb. So the test which was happened in the same Sangre de Cristo mountain site. So that test was named as Trinity, and that was again inspired from the Gita. So basically, Trinity represented gods, our three Hindu gods, Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh, right? So again, during his period of being the scientific director at the Manhattan Project from 1943 till 1945, he was continuously under government scrutiny. His security clearance was not given because he was thought to be the communist, and there were some communist like threats going on within the project as well. There were some spies which were caught. One of the spy name was Carl Fuchs, who used to transfer information from the project uh, towards the Soviets. So those spy activities and then the communist activities, they used to put a lot of pressure on Oppenheimer's normal lifestyle, and the government was in under the continuous thought that Oppenheimer could also be not trusted with his communist allegiances, right? Although he was not a communist, he never identified himself as a communist, but that was a very big problem for him. And during his later uh, lobbying of putting a ban on nuclear bombs or creating some sort of a sanction on nuclear arm race, so that also created that pretense under the government that could Oppenheimer be trusted or not. So his activity against not developing the hydrogen bomb, one. Second thing, his lobbying against use of unconditional use of nuclear bombs and creating some sort of a international organization which basically keeps a check on use of nuclear bombs. Second, and his past with his ex-girlfriend Jean Tatlock, who was a communist. And one of the incident that you will read in the book, there was this French uh, professor at the University of Berkeley, Hakon Chevalier, so who actually approached Oppenheimer to give some sort of information from the Manhattan Project to the Soviets. And Chevalier himself was an innocent person. He was sent from this other guy called George Altenton. So this particular incident also will haunt his life of showing his allegiance towards the American nation, and showing that he was not someone who was a communist or a spy. And it kept going on. His security clearance was flagged in 1943. It was then flagged in 1946. It was then again flagged in 1954, and that the whole scene of uh, like deposition that basically destroyed him emotionally and like as a person, right? Which we all see in the movie in the final, I think 30 minutes or 40 minutes or so. It is covered quite good. With those people and his activities did put a question on his security clearance continuously, and that led to government's uh, long-standing tapping of Oppenheimer's life and wondering if he has committed espionage. So, in the second part of this video, I will also bring you the person Lewis Strauss, Robert Downey's character in the movie, Lewis Strauss, who was also a very big businessman and one of the board of trustee in Princeton University, who was a cutthroat, or I can say a vindictive person who basically destroyed Oppenheimer's life. Right, in 1954, he had to sit through a lot of, personal deposition. Like, I don't think any person was publicly scrutinized the way Oppenheimer was scrutinized, right? So, in the second part, I will talk about his thought to be communist activities as well as his lobbying against the government, American government, all the way to Washington, that please put a stop on the incessant use of nuclear bombs and try to create a bridge with Soviets and create an international society which actually keeps a check on the use of the nuclear bombs to avoid the nuclear arm race in between US and Russia, which was imminent, right? And I will try to cover these two aspects of his life quite detailed, and uh, how that thought to be communist Oppenheimer actually destroyed his life. And Lewis Strauss, believe me, was the person who destroyed Oppenheimer's life. Nobody else. It was Lewis Strauss. It was Robert Downey Jr., who also got one Oscar for his portrayal of Louis Strauss, right? So, to continue in the second part of this book's review, please wait for a few days. I will give you the video very, very soon. So, thank you for staying for a long time today. I don't think I can finish this book in on YouTube review. It is I highly recommend you to read this book personally. So you should go and read Oppenheimer's biography, and I'm sure you will realize why Christopher Nolan was excited to give you a movie, a blockbuster movie about Oppenheimer. So thank you.